Hi, I'm Jordan Olivo, and today on Focus Del Mar Community, we have Trent Westbrook. He is an accomplished artist who has created numerous Star Wars official artwork. Trent has also worked as a sketch artist for AMC Network and has even published his own comic book series, appropriately called Corpus Christi. Welcome to the show, Trent.
Thank you very much.
So you brought a lot of artwork that we have displayed behind us, and just by seeing this alone, I am super impressed. I was super impressed to know that we were going to get you on the show. So when did you first realize you wanted to create comic book art?
It's kind of funny because actually I knew around 2002 I had an idea for a comic book, but when I started working on it, I only intended to write it. And I was actually trying to find other artists to work on the book for me because I just didn't think my art was up to par.
Right.
And I kept having to go through all these basically hack artists that never would follow through, and they'd tell me, we don't understand what you're trying to do. So I'd end up having to draw it for them.
Right.
And funny enough, all my friends were like, Trent, you're doing the job already. Why don't you just draw the book?
Yeah.
So that's what got me actually started to draw again and to just try to get better and better as I went along, and eventually I got to the book.
So as a kid, were you kind of like you would doodle and draw, or is it something as you grew up you kind of, realized, hey, I'm pretty good?
I've been drawing probably since I was 3 or 4 because my father was an architect for Champlin Sitco, and he was always drawing to entertain me. So as he was drawing for me, I was always wanting to imitate what he was doing, and I kind of was self-taught that way.
Who would you say is your favorite artist?
I have a lot of favorite artists, but I'd say the one that's at the very top for me is Drew Struzan. He's done most of the posters you probably saw of all the movies in the 70s and 80s. Oh, wow. The Star Wars movies, the Back to the Future films, any Steven Spielberg film, basically, Police Academy, you name it. He was doing all those movie posters, and I've always really appreciated his technique.
Right.
I got to meet him last year and learn a little bit, and
that's cool.
He's probably my favorite.
Yeah, and then to meet the person who you kind of,
and it was great meeting him, and he was actually really nice and everything. And it's so nice to meet somebody that you look up to, and they're actually
it makes it even better.
Great person.
Yeah. So you create artwork for Star Wars, which is a huge franchise. I mean, congratulations alone just on that. How did you end up working with Lucasfilms and Topps? Topps is a card they kind of distribute.
They're a collectible card company that has the license through Lucasfilm for Star Wars. It was just over time having my work out there enough where you do the work, you get seen, and at the same time, the more work you're doing professionally, you start making more and more contacts. And it was a matter of somebody finding me and saying, Trent, why don't you do this work, and here's the person you need to speak to. And I was like, okay. And I did it, and shockingly, within 48 hours, I had a yes.
Oh, right. Almost right away.
Yeah, right? it was really shocking.
Yeah. Kind of like a pinch me moment. Is this happening? Yeah. So you work on commissions with working on artwork, right?
I work by contracts with Topps.
Okay.
Anything outside of that is commission work.
And what would you say is the biggest obstacle you face if you're working on commissions? Time.
Yes, I've always got time against me, and the hardest thing is a lot of every project you're giving is per contract, but they're very short timelines.
Right.
And the amount of work, depending on the project, can be very large, where you have to maybe get 100 to 150 pieces done within the space of 5 weeks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So pressure's up there.
The pressure's on. Yeah.
And you have a regular job during the day as well, right? You work with Corpus Christi ISD, so kind of making sure all of this fits with, I still have to do my other job, and I still have to do what I love, and that's all kind of doesn't really help the pressure, but some people do their best work under pressure.
Maybe I do, I don't know. But yeah, I've got to make sure 8 to 4:30 is the day job, and as soon as I get home, I got to.
Right. I love that, though. I told you, I was like, it's kind of like an alter ego that you have going on. So you have your very own comic book line, which you titled Corpus Christi Visions. So that's your comic book series. What was the igniter behind that creation?
I was very interested in college when I was at A&M Kingsville. I was studying English as one of my majors in writing, and one of my professors, Dr. Wayne Gunn, he was he influenced me a great deal about books that were related to locations. And it was very exciting to be able to read, a book and then actually go to the site where this supposedly happened.
Right.
And that has always been a big influence on me. So when I started writing all these pieces and putting them together, I really wanted to do something that with a location and then let the location build a story from that point.
Do you ever have a moment of writer's block or drawer's block? I don't know, what would the term be?
Writer's block, I try to prevent that by working ahead as much as possible to where I've got everything mapped out before I start doing any kind of writing, so that when I get to these points, I know exactly how they connect, and then I can fill in.
Right.
As far as drawing, there were some tough times on issue 4 of Corpus Christi where there was a scene that was kind of a shootout scene and stuff that I had to really think about how I wanted to portray that, and that one took me a long time. And then every once in a while with Star Wars, after the 500th piece, you're trying to come up with something new and fresh that you haven't done before.
Right.
So after a while, that starts to become a little bit of a...
So you are local, which blows my mind, that you've done all this work. So what keeps you rooted here in Corpus Christi? When people kind of hit it big, per se, they move off to LA, New York. What keeps you locked down here?
My family.
Your family, and that's always important too. They kind of keep you grounded,
yes.
Right?
Yes, my family keeps me totally grounded, and I couldn't do anything without them. So.
And if you hadn't become an artist, what do you think you'd become instead? I know you have that kind of day job, but...
Well, I've been doing IT for about 23 years. I'm just waiting to retire from that. And
kind of do this full time, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping is that this continues on.
Right.
I've been professionally an illustrator since 2006. I'm hoping that will continue on after I've retired from CCISD.
Right.
And this is what I can fall back on with my retirement.
Well, you have a mega resume, so I'm sure that'll be no problem for you. Well, I want to thank you again for stopping by. I learned a lot. You're really down to earth, and who knew all of this? Thank you for spending time with us today, Trent, and thank you for joining us. I'm Jordan Olivo. See you next time on Focus Del Mar Community.